Mr. President, members of the Senate, I rise in support of the amendment. The duties of the legislative branch of government is the power of the purse. We are held accountable for taxpayer money. This amendment is providing accountability. Nothing more. Accountability for how $1.4 billion in taxpayer money will be spent. I'm not going to argue whether I agree or disagree with how the governor handled the CARES Act money. What I do know is we are now sitting with another pot of money, and I believe it is our duty, our responsibility, to make sure that money is being spent wisely and as outlined in that bill, federal bill. Secondly, if we had an oversight committee that actually met, perhaps we wouldn't need this kind of an accountability amendment. But that committee doesn't meet. It hasn't met in several years. We are abdicating our responsibility as a legislative branch of government, a co-equal branch of government. The executive branch proposes, the legislative branch disposes. It is our responsibility. Thirdly, last year this time, some of you, most of you were here, we passed legislation to require the Legislative Council to oversee another statewide elected official, the Secretary of State, to get the Legislative Council's approval if they wanted to do any kind of an emergency change to election law to accommodate voters in a pandemic. A duly elected statewide official. And the legislature decided to take it upon themselves to oversee that office. During a pandemic, election laws, and he was only trying to make sure that that ballot was accessible and safe for millions of Iowans. Senators, let's set aside whatever partisan differences we may have, because we have many. But this is one day I'm going to ask you to stand up for the powers and responsibilities of the legislative branch of government. Thank you, Mr. President.